Elizabeth Chappell, a lifelong entrepreneur who finally found my niche. After years of new ideas and jumping from business to business, I figured out how to turn a craft into a successful career. In 2016, I started a monthly subscription box for quilters. That little startup has grown into a thriving, multiple six-figure business that I am so proud of. As a published author, designer of fabrics and patterns being sold throughout the world, my favorite thing to do is to teach others how to grow a career of their dreams. Each week, you'll hear from me or from other guests who are creative entrepreneurs, so you can learn exactly what to do and what not to do to grow a career that's more rewarding and successful than you ever thought possible. If you're ready to turn your craft into a career that you love, I am so excited you're here. Welcome to the Craft to Career podcast. Welcome. This is Elizabeth, and I am so excited to have you here on the Craft to Career podcast. I am back from a personal little hiatus break, if you will, over the month of December, now getting near the end of January. So I took a very healthy month off of everything. And I'm really excited to share with you what that looked like for me, and more so what this could look like for you, the benefits of a break. And then I'm really excited to talk about how to earn money. Before we go dive into all of this, which I can't wait to talk about, there is a new review on the podcast. And I'm so excited because there's almost 300 reviews. There's a couple more. If you are a listener and you have not left a review yet, please do. I'm really hopeful to get to that 300 mark. And the reason is when there are reviews for the podcast, number one, more people are able to find the podcast. So if you find this helpful, if you think, man, this would really help entrepreneurs to grow their business, leave a review. That is the best way for people to find the podcast. And then number two, it really helps you. You are able to get amazing guests. And there are a few people I'm reaching out to that I'm really hopeful will come on the podcast. But what they do when someone asks, do you want to be on the podcast? They go and they look and they see how many reviews there are. The more reviews there are, the better quality guests come on the podcast. So if you want to hear some amazing guests on the Craft to Career podcast, go ahead and leave a review and give yourself that treat. So now let's talk about this little month break that I took. So listeners of the podcast, you probably know the last year or so was kind of a burnout year for me, where I was like, okay, let's take more off of my plate. I sold my membership. I stopped designing fabric. I just was shedding off as much as possible to find out what I really wanted to do. Like, where is my joy? I really want to be purposeful and mindful about what I'm doing in my business. And so I decided in the month of December, I had for over a year posted on Instagram every day, if not twice a day. And I was ready to take a break. And I wasn't even nervous. I was like, whatever comes. But the interesting thing is I actually continued to grow, not at the same rate as before, but I definitely still got new followers. So that was interesting. Like, my business didn't go kaput. And now I've started posting again daily, and it's continuing to grow. So it's okay. It's okay to take a break. Growth can still happen when you come back. It's not like people are, I didn't say either. I didn't bring it to my audience's attention like I'm taking a break, nothing like that. Because honestly, they probably didn't notice, and I didn't want to bring attention to it. I am here on the podcast because this is more business to business owner, like behind the curtain, what's going on. But I didn't talk about it. I just took a break and then started posting again. And it's been very seamless. So that's been lovely. And then with work, it was an interesting evolution, I guess it's been, a little over a month probably that I took time off. I didn't really look at the calendar and count the days, but a month, give or take. And at first I was like, I actually really like doing nothing. Oh dear. Am I going to want to go back? Do I want to go back? Do I want to do anything? What do I want to do? And ultimately I knew I wanted to, I've worked really hard. I love this business that I do. Yes, I want to do something, but what? I don't know. And so I just sat and did nothing and was like, and when the thought crept up, like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't need to figure it out. It's just let it be, I'll figure it out. And then I saw someone recommend a book, The Art and Business of Online Writing by Nicholas Cole. And so there must have been a spark of something within me, even though I was like, there's nothing. I wanted the book, which up until that point, even when I saw a business podcast or anything, it was a physical repulsion. Like, no, I can't, I don't want to. But this book, for whatever reason, he is a writer. He teaches people how to become ghostwriters. And so for whatever reason, I got the book, and I'm literally only on page, let me look here, 25. But in those first 25 pages, the spark came back. Reading about Nicholas Cole and his journey with ghostwriting and his business, and just how he gave it his all, and it sparked something in me again. I was like, oh my gosh, I want back in. I want to do this again. So I don't know what all attributes to that, but I definitely have to think that taking a break and stepping back was pivotal. I was just at a point where I just didn't know what I want to do, if anything. And so taking a break was important. And it could happen whenever, but I do think it's kind of nice that fell over the holiday time where everyone's a little preoccupied and busy. And it's a little more natural, like, oh, she's taking a break. But honestly, it could be any time. We think people are paying way more attention to us and our business and what we're doing than they really are. So if you just take a little break, don't make a big announcement about it, and catch your breath, recharge, whatever it is, people will be waiting for you when you come back. So another thing that happened while I was taking this little break, I went on Facebook, and there's a Facebook group that I'm a part of for quilters, just for quilters. And there was a question where someone asked, and I don't know exactly how they worded it, but basically, can you actually make money as a sewist or a quilter? And there were so many answers in there where people said no. You could have it as a side hustle. I actually did not comment on this thread. I could see the potential for some, interesting comments. So I just didn't respond, but I did go through and read. And if I had to guess, which it is a guess, I would say 90% said no, it's not possible. I try, but I don't earn a lot of money doing this. And there were about 10%, just a handful of people who said, yeah, I do earn money. Of those that said, yes, I do earn money, they said, but it still does not compensate for what I had as a full-time job, or they're very, very busy. So I just wanted to come and talk with you. And the reason I didn't want to hop on there, for multiple reasons, but one of the main ones is I didn't want to be that lone person who looks like I'm disagreeing with everyone saying, no, you can. And I know from experience, when you are that person who's saying you can, and most other people say no, it can tend to bring up some heated conversation. So I'm bringing it here to the podcast where I know you listeners who are coming here, this is a safe space. And I want to share with you that you absolutely can earn money as a quilter. And it can be very lucrative, but it does take work. I think a lot of times people think, oh, if I become a creative entrepreneur or a quilter, it's all of a sudden less work than if I were to have a full-time job somewhere else. But if you honestly, sincerely worked a full-time job, putting your energy and effort into building this career with the proper guidance and direction and, business know-how, you absolutely can have a successful career. And people do. And I'm not the only one. If I were the only one, that would be something like, well, that's just weird. And sometimes you do see an anomaly here or there that you're like, well, that is the one. But there are multiple people who their spouse has retired and they started working with the quilter, or they were able to totally quit their job and start doing this quilty career or creative career. I'm not the only one, but I do want to talk about how you can earn good money in this market. And the first one is to grow an audience. I know, blah, like nobody wants to do that. But it is a thing. You need people to sell to. If it doesn't matter how wonderful your product is, if nobody knows about it, or if you only have an audience of other business owners, they're not looking to buy. They're going to cheer you on and say like, "Oh, that's so lovely. Good job." But you are here to find customers who are going to buy from you. And so your audience could look so different. There are many ways to grow an audience. You could go to like live craft shows and build an audience in that way. You could go on social media. You could go on YouTube. You could go to local venues, quilt shops, whatever that might look like. But in one way or another, you do need to have an audience of people who you can contact and reach out to. So ultimately, you do want to bring that audience into an email list, which I actually just did a little experiment of my own. And this is just to show you the power of an email list. I do, and I've heard over and over again, people are like, nobody uses email anymore. I never read my email. It's not true. I'm not the only one saying this, but I will give you an example of the power of the email list. So I right now have like 147,000 followers on Instagram, and most of my reels, gosh, I'm going off the top of my head, but let me just open up Instagram and see how many views I get on, I don't know, the last few reels that I've had. 18,000, 43,000, 12,000, 20,000, 32,000, 13,000, 44,000. So I don't know, 15 to 20,000-ish. So that's a lot of people who see each reel. So I created a reel recently where I'm inviting people to join a Dresden plate challenge. It costs only $5 to join. So it's a very, very low ticket item. But it is still a paid thing. And all of my reels in the past year have been for free things where I will say, come get this free thing. And then I will upsell them. Some of them I haven't even gotten that upsell working quite yet, but I offer them a free thing. So this is different in the fact that the link that I'm sharing them with ManyChat, comment this and I'll give you the link, is to join a $5 thing. So I ran a couple of reels, like some really good ones. One of them that had 40 something thousand views. I made sure that it was doing well, and I had a good turnout. Like people were signing up and buying, but I knew it. And I actually made a guess. I told my husband, I think it will triple my sales when I send out an email. So I sent out one email and it has more than tripled, almost 4 times the sales. And I'm still continuing to run reels about it. But the email alone has brought over 4 times as many sales. And that's from one email. I will continue to send out more emails about it, and that will continue to get more sales. But the power of the email, and I took a month off of writing it. Plus, I think it was over, maybe 2 months. Not ideal, right? Like business savvy 101, you want to email every week. Well, I took a month off and it still did that. So the power of an audience, like you really want to be able to not only grow an audience on YouTube or social media, you need to find some way to get them to join that email list so you can reach out to them and you can sell to them when you have a product. And that alone right there for many people turns people off of running a business. They're like, I don't want to do that. I just don't want to. If you don't want to do it, then running a business is going to be really hard because you have to market. Like you have to have an audience to sell to. You can run ads. You can do that. But even running ads is more successful when you have an email list behind the scenes. So I actually hire someone to do my ads for me. But I mean, in the most basic terms, because that's all I really know and understand, Meta, which whether it's Facebook or Instagram ads, you can create an audience or a lookalike audience. So my email list of, I don't know, over 70,000 people, I send those email addresses to Meta and they can tailor those ads and make sure that those people are seeing my ads. They can also make a lookalike audience. and find people who look like them, which I know sometimes can feel very creepy, like, oh, they have all of our information. But as a business owner, it's very, very helpful. And as a consumer, sometimes they'll show me an ad. I'm like, actually, that is just what I was looking for. Thank you, Meta. So for now, I hear all this like, well, things are changing with cookies and all of that. For now, and I can't see it changing, you're able to tailor your ads better when you have an audience of people on your email list that you can say, here are my customers, here are people who are interested. Now go and find a lookalike audience. So your ads, you'll be spending less money on ads and getting a better return when you have an audience. So again, grow your audience, gather their email addresses. Number 2, sell digital products. In that question on Facebook, a lot of people were saying, yeah, I've tried selling my quilts and it just isn't a good return for my time. And it's not. It's really not. Like selling a finished quilt, you can only sell it once. You make it, and we know as quilters how much time and money goes into making a quilt. To get a good return on that is really hard, especially in our current market where we can buy, there's such an overproduction of products. You can buy a blanket, I don't know, give any store's name for $20 to $50. And so for us to compete with that, with a finished product, that's not our ideal customer. It's not a good business plan. It's just going to be really hard to earn good money selling a finished product like that. So think digital products. And this could be a course. This could be you make an ebook. This could be recipes that you sell. I'm thinking outside the box beyond just quilters here, but it can really be any sort of digital product that people can download or that you can email to them. And that, just think of it logistically. You create that one time, and give or take, let's say quilt pattern, you go back and maybe update it in a couple of years. Still, you've done the work one time and you continue to sell it over and over again. And even if it is a quilt pattern, you can remake that quilt for marketing purposes and sell that pattern over and over again when a new fabric line comes out. So it's just way less work, better return for your investment of time. And then number 3 is to teach. And that does, I kind of touched on that with selling a digital product. But a digital product, that's like a finite product that you sell. Like here is a PDF download. But teaching, that's a course, like an online course that people take. And my guess is the majority of you who are listening have taken some sort of course online. But yeah, this is, you can do in person. And some people love to do in person. And if that's what you love to do, by all means do it, because there is actually a lot of value. And in this modern age where so many things are online, a lot of people really crave that in-person connection and, hands-on. So if you are willing to do that, you can, and there's a market for that. But imagine teaching online where you can teach 1 to thousands. And you could do it live, or you can pre-record your course and fine tune it and make it really great. And then you can sell that to innumerable people. The work is done. It's not like the quilt where you make it once and you can only sell it once. This, you can sell it as many times as possible. So those are a couple of things to think about that weren't really being talked about in that conversation on Facebook. So I want to really bring that to the forefront of your mind. And then the 4th thing is have something that people are asking questions about. So you might think, oh, I've got this great idea. I should sell a product on X. But what if no one's looking for that solution? They don't really care. Then no one's going to pay for it. So what I recommend doing is going to Google or even ChatGPT and ask, what are the top questions quilters have? Or what are the top whatever, fill in the blank. The better your questions are, the more creative you get with your questions, the better feedback you're going to get. So just start looking and researching. You can also go to YouTube. This is a really good one. Go to YouTube and just type in, again, I'll go with quilting, but this goes for any industry. Go to like beginning quilt tutorial, or let's say you want to do modern quilts, landscape quilt, whatever it is, type that in and look at the top videos that come up and look in their comment section, because that's where the questions are. People are going to ask questions, and you will see certain questions come up over and over and over. That is an indication that people obviously have questions, and you could solve that. You could be the solution that people are looking for. But what it tells you, first and foremost, is that people are asking those kinds of questions. You do need to look for the questions that people have and not just make up something that you think someone might have a question about. And then number 5 is solve the problems for them. You know, people have those questions there, so now you can solve them. Goes without saying, but I'll say it. It should be something that you actually have knowledge and experience about, something that you can offer, not just because there are questions there, you're going to spin something out of thin air, but something that you do have some experience with. So with all of that in mind, there is this last piece, and it's really just hard work. There's strategy and consistency. You want to be excited about this because it is going to take work. And I think sometimes there's this idea of like, oh, well, quilting is so fun. I could earn money as a quilter. It's not even going to be that much work. I could just make a pattern and sell it online and it just sells over and over and over. Or I hear with online course, creation, like create it once and earn money forever. As if all of a sudden, because you've created the content, it magically is going to just do really well for you. But it takes a lot of work. I mean, imagine a startup company, like, I don't know, even a restaurant in your neighborhood. Imagine all the work that goes into that, just getting it started, getting the building, getting all the ingredients, the menus, the staff, and then you've got to get the word out. You've got to get people coming. So that's just a startup of a brick and mortar, but any business in the world, it just takes a lot of work. And so I think sometimes people are disenchanted, like, oh, but this will take work. Or there's another thing that I see. It's really difficult, let's say, to grow an audience on Instagram. So like, I'm going to learn how to grow an audience on LinkedIn instead. Well, that's not working. Okay, I'm going to go learn how to do an audience on YouTube. Well, that's not working. I'm going to start a podcast. Until you figure out how to grow an audience in one place, it's not going to be any easier on a different platform. So just buckle up and be consistent. Just let's take Instagram, for example. That's my platform of preference. It just takes consistency. Like I said, I posted every day for the last year and it paid off. I grew a lot. You just have to show up. And there's that story of the pottery class where a professor had 2 different classes. One, he said, just make one piece of pottery and make it your masterpiece. And then in the other class, he said, just make as many pieces as you can. It's just quantity. Just make so many. Whoever makes the most gets the best grade. And the interesting thing is the class where they only made one piece of pottery, they ended up not being as good because they didn't get the practice. And they were so worried about making that one piece be just so amazing that they were in their head about it, and it just didn't end up being as good. Now the class where the students made as many pieces as possible, they ended up having so much better results because they weren't worried about perfection. They were just having fun with it, try this, try this, try this. And that's the same with your business and growing an audience. Just keep showing up. Be relentless with it. And even when you don't want to do it, right? There are days where I'm like, I don't want to do it. And it was nice to take that month or plus minus a little bit break. And I knew when I committed to start again, it was going to be every day. So I was like, ooh. And it actually took me getting on a call with someone else to coach and talk about Instagram growth that I was like, all right, let's do this thing. So you just show up even when you don't want to. It's not always easy, but it's hard. It's hard work. It's consistency, but it's also a lot of fun. And when you really do love this thing that you do, it's not all, I don't want to paint a picture that it's all sunshine and rainbows, but it's very, very fulfilling and very fun. Like I said, even in that month break at first, I was like, I actually really like doing nothing. Am I going to want to go back? Yes, I do. Because at the end of the day, it feeds my soul. I love creating, and I really love working with other entrepreneurs. In fact, I'm announcing it here first. But one of the things, as I was like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I really want to work with a handful. I'm thinking 4 or 5 entrepreneurs. It will be I'm thinking a month, maybe 2 months. We'll see, a month or 2 or somewhere in between, where we will have group coaching and I will do some individual coaching for business. So like a mentorship. It could be people from all different walks of life, like whatever kind of career you have, even a few different variations of your growth and the success that you've had as a business. But I'm very, very excited to get my hands dirty and work with you and to work together as a group to really move the needle with your business and see what we can do to get you excited and moving to the next level. And there is really something great about accountability and working with other people individually. Like I said, with teaching, there's something about that personal touch. But for me, really the accountability, like hearing from other people who are excited and have momentum, that gets me excited and gets me like, yeah, let's do this. So I will be opening up soon. Keep your eyes peeled. I'll send an email out. So if you want to get on the email list, be sure to do that. But I'll be sending an email out to my audience to let you know that you can apply. Like I said, 4, 5 people, and we will just get ready to grow your business, whatever that might look like for you. You know, it might look a little different for each one of you. In fact, it will look a little different for each one of you. But this is something I'm really excited about doing. As I stepped back and thought, one of the things I really love is being down in the trenches with other business owners. And it just lights me up. And I love thinking business. Like, the marketing is fun for me and business strategy is fun. I love it. And I love social media. I love helping other people do that. So keep your eyes peeled if that's something that you're interested in. You could even shoot me an email or send me a DM, hello@quilterscandy.com, or on Instagram @quilters_candy. But thank you for being here, listeners. I have some new podcast episodes coming up and some new guests that I'm excited to have. And then, of course, I'll just be sharing business insights and inspiration with you. So follow along. Be sure that you're subscribed to the Craft to Career podcast. And if you've not yet left a review, please do that. Thank you so much for being here.